Hello and welcome. In this course, we'll be taking a look at how we can use ticketing in Qlik to authorize applications created with the Qlik engine and capability APIs. We're going to start by taking a look at how Qlik Sense Enterprise works when it comes to authentication and authorization, and there's an important distinction between the two. In fact, Qlik doesn't actually perform any authentication of individual users whatsoever. It does, however, authorize users. So what do we mean by this? Take an out-of-the-box implementation, for example. When you visit the hub or QMC or any other resource for that matter, you'll either be prompted to enter your domain credentials or you'll be logged in automatically, depending on your device, browser, and a few other things. During this process, it's not Qlik that verifies your credentials. That responsibility is given to the domain, and once successfully authenticated, will pass the info back to Qlik, which subsequently generates a ticket for you and authorizes you to access the desired resource. That is, assuming your user is allowed to access that resource. Just because you're authorized to enter the Qlik ecosystem doesn't mean you have access to everything. Security rules and section access, for example, will affect whether or not you can access specific content. However, we won't worry about that for now. In this course, we'll just be focusing on the authorization process. If you're using a browser to access the chosen resource, you'll notice that at the end of the authentication process, a Qlik ticket parameter is appended to the URL. It's this ticket that is then used in the authorization process, and once validated, a session is created for your user and a cookie is created in the browser. This cookie is the key. If it exists and it's still valid, then you'll be granted access without the need to re-authenticate. So ultimately, our goal is to get this cookie. Think of the whole process like this. When you pay for a hotel reservation, it's not the hotel that verifies your credit card. It's the card company that authenticates you. If that's successful, the hotel issues a reservation number, which is our Qlik ticket. When you arrive at the hotel, you exchange that reservation number for a room key. This is the cookie. As long as you have it, you can access your room, until it expires, of course, at which point, if you want to spend more time there, you'll need to repeat the process all over again. So how do we apply this process to a solution built using either the Qlik capability APIs or Qlik engine API, which for simplicity we'll refer to as a mashup? In this course, we're going to show you 4 different options for using ticketing with a mashup, but before we jump into the how, let's take a look at the when. Regardless of your Qlik server configuration, to access content, you'll need a proxy. In this example, our Qlik proxy server is called myQlikProxy. Each proxy server can then be linked to one or more virtual proxies, and it's these virtual proxies that determine how the auth flow works. The default is the central proxy, which uses the built-in Windows authentication flow that we described earlier, and is triggered as soon as you access content from a URL that begins with myQlikProxy. So, the obvious example would be when going to the hub with this URL. The not so obvious example is when building a mashup with the capability APIs. Let's say, for argument's sake, that our mashup URL is this. That's not using the Qlik proxy in any way, so no auth flow, right? Unfortunately not. Creating a solution with the capability APIs means loading 2 Qlik resources into the page, which in our example would look like this. When the page loads, it will try to load in those resources, both of which use the Qlik proxy and will trigger the auth flow to start. To make matters worse, it's also unlikely to prompt you to log in or do it automatically for you, which means it will simply fail. The same can be said of the Engine API. The manner in which it fails will be different, but it still fails. In the next lesson, we'll be looking at the first of our proposed solutions for resolving this issue. But first, it's time to test your knowledge. You can stay up to date with all of our content by subscribing to our YouTube channel or following us on social media. If you'd like to see more from this course, then head over to webzy.academy, where you'll find our full set of training courses complete with hands-on activities and much more.